Welcome to Barefoot Steps on Cool Stone, a gentle and tranquil audiobook designed to guide you towards restful sleep. If you find peace in these stories and wish to explore more calming narratives, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for future relaxing content. Before we begin Clara's story, we'll take a few moments for a calming breathing exercise to help you unwind and prepare for a peaceful listening experience. If you prefer to drift directly into the narrative, you can find chapter timestamps in the description below, allowing you to easily navigate to the story's start. Find a comfortable position, perhaps lying down in your bed or relaxing in your favorite chair. Let your body feel supported and at ease. Adjust your blankets or pillow so you feel perfectly cozy. This is your time to set aside the day and welcome tranquility. Imagine the soft morning light filtering through linen curtains, just like it does in Clara's studio, inviting a sense of calm and gentle awakening. Let's begin with a breath to center ourselves. Inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, noticing the air filling your lungs with each gentle breath. Exhale slowly through your mouth like a soft sigh of release. With each exhale, feel any tension melting away. Imagine the cool, smooth surface of stone beneath your bare feet, grounding you and bringing a sense of calm. Feel the gentle weight of your body sinking into the surface beneath you, supported and relaxed. If your thoughts wander, that's perfectly natural. Simply acknowledge them and gently guide your attention back to your breath or the sound of my voice. There is nothing you need to do but listen and allow the story to unfold around you. Feel the gentle rhythm of Clara's day, the quiet hum of her studio, the warmth of the sunlight, and the grounding sensation of cool stone. Let these sensations wash over you, carrying away any worries and inviting a sense of deep peace. Allow yourself to be embraced by the quiet beauty of Clara's world. Now let's step into Barefoot Steps on Cool Stone and allow the gentle rhythms of everyday life to lull you into a peaceful sleep. Chapter 1. The morning light in the studio. The first rays of dawn, soft and diffused, began to filter through the linen curtains of the studio window, painting the room in hues of pale apricot and gentle cream. Clara stirred beneath her own soft cotton sheets, a slow stretch extending through her limbs as she welcomed the new day. The air held a quiet stillness, the kind that precedes the full awakening of the world, broken only by the distant, cheerful chirping of early birds outside. She lay for a few moments longer, listening to the subtle sounds of her home settling into morning. A familiar creak of the floorboards, the gentle hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Rising slowly, Clara padded barefoot across the cool stone floor of her bedroom. The smooth surface a pleasant sensation against her skin. The coolness was grounding, a gentle reminder of the present moment as she moved towards the studio. The scent of chamomile, faint and soothing, drifted from the small teacup waiting on her bedside table from the night before. She gently opened the studio door, allowing the soft morning light to spill further into the space. Inside, the studio was bathed in a tranquil glow. Dust motes danced in the sunbeams, illuminating the pottery wheel standing patiently in the center of the room, and the shelves lined with finished pieces, each holding the quiet story of its creation. The air carried the subtle, earthy scent of dried clay, a familiar and comforting aroma that always felt like coming home. Clara moved to the window, pushing it open to welcome the morning air fully. A gentle breeze drifted in, carrying with it the sounds of the awakening neighborhood, the distant rumble of a delivery truck, the soft murmur of voices from a house further down the street, and the increasingly vibrant birdsong. She inhaled deeply, the fresh air filling her lungs, bringing with it a sense of clarity and calm anticipation. She could feel the warmth of the nascent sunlight already beginning to touch her skin through the open window, a gentle, comforting warmth that eased any lingering stiffness from sleep. Moving to her small kitchenette area in the studio, Clara filled the kettle and set it to boil, the quiet hum soon filling the space. While waiting, she unrolled her yoga mat, placing it in a patch of sunlight near the window. She began with gentle stretches, each movement slow and deliberate, listening to her body as she eased into the day. Her muscles, still soft from sleep, responded with quiet gratitude to the gentle extension and release. As the kettle whistled softly, Clara prepared her tea, the fragrant steam rising in delicate curls, carrying the calming scent of chamomile. She settled onto her yoga mat with her warm mug, cradling it in her hands, feeling the pleasant heat radiating outwards. Sipping slowly, she gazed out at her small garden just beyond the studio window. Dewdrops clung to the lavender leaves, each tiny sphere reflecting the soft morning light, like miniature jewels. A robin hopped onto the stone path in the garden, its bright red breast a cheerful splash of color against the gray stone. It cocked its head, listening intently, then with a sudden dart pecked at the earth, searching for breakfast. Clara watched it, a quiet smile softening her lips. These small, everyday moments of nature felt like gifts, gentle reminders of the beauty that unfolded quietly around her, if only she paused to notice. Finishing her tea, Clara felt a sense of gentle focus settling within her. She rose from her mat and moved towards the pottery wheel, her hands instinctively reaching for a lump of cool, damp clay waiting on the workbench. The clay felt smooth and yielding in her hands, a familiar and comforting texture. As she began to wedge the clay, preparing it for the wheel, the gentle rhythm of her movements and the quiet anticipation of creation filled the studio with a sense of peaceful purpose. The day, like the soft morning light, was just beginning, full of quiet promise and the simple joy of creation. Chapter 2: The Rhythm of the Wheel. Clara settled onto her stool at the pottery wheel, the familiar worn wood comfortable beneath her. She placed the wedged clay onto the center of the wheel head, her hands gently coaxing it into place. The electric hum of the motor began, a low, consistent sound that quickly faded into the background, becoming a soothing rhythm rather than a distraction. The wheel began to spin, slowly at first, then gradually gaining speed, the clay a blur of motion beneath her fingertips. She dipped her hands into the water bowl, the cool liquid a refreshing contrast to the warmth of her skin. Applying gentle pressure, she began to cone the clay, feeling the yielding resistance as it responded to her touch. The studio filled with the soft splashing of water and the quiet whirring of the wheel, a meditative soundscape that focused her mind and calmed her senses. Sunlight streamed through the studio window, warming her shoulders and back, a pleasant, gentle heat that eased any lingering tension. As she moved through the centering process, her focus narrowed to the clay beneath her hands. She felt the subtle vibrations of the wheel, the delicate dance between pressure and release, the responsiveness of the earth beneath her touch. The clay began to take shape, rising and falling, becoming centered and balanced under her guidance. With each rotation of the wheel, a sense of calm deepened within her, a quiet absorption in the present moment. The scent of damp clay filled the air, a subtle earthy fragrance that connected her to the raw material of her craft. She closed her eyes for a moment, breathing deeply, allowing the scent and the rhythmic whir of the wheel to wash over her. It was a feeling of being completely present, of being one with the clay, the wheel, and the quiet rhythm of her studio. Opening her eyes, she began to shape the clay into a cylinder, her hands moving with practiced ease. The clay yielded to her touch, rising smoothly, forming the beginnings of a small vase. She felt the gentle pull of gravity, the subtle resistance of the clay, the delicate balance required to coax it into form. Each movement was deliberate, mindful, a conversation between her hands and the earth. Hours passed in this quiet rhythm. The sunlight shifted across the studio floor, the angle of the light slowly changing as the morning progressed. Clara worked steadily, creating a series of small vases, each one slightly different, each one imbued with the quiet energy of her focus and intention. She paused occasionally, taking a step back to observe her work, appreciating the subtle curves and lines, the individual character of each piece. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction in the simple act of creation, in transforming a lump of earth into something beautiful and functional. It was a quiet, unassuming joy, a contentment that arose from the process itself rather than from any external validation. The rhythm of the wheel, the feel of the clay, the warmth of the sunlight. These simple sensory details filled her studio and her mind with a sense of peaceful well-being. As lunchtime approached, Clara slowly brought the wheel to a stop, the quiet hum fading into silence. She stepped back from her stool, stretching her arms and legs, feeling a gentle release of tension in her muscles. She looked at the row of freshly formed vases, standing damp and vulnerable on the workbench, each one a testament to the quiet rhythm of her morning and the gentle magic of creation. Chapter 3: A Garden Interlude. Taking a break from the studio, Clara decided to spend some time in her garden. Stepping out into the sunlight, she felt the warmth immediately embrace her, a gentle, comforting heat on her skin. The air was still and quiet, the midday sun casting soft shadows across the stone paths and lavender bushes. The garden was a small, enclosed space, a haven of green and fragrant blooms, a peaceful retreat just steps from her studio door. She walked barefoot on the warm stone path, the sun-baked surface radiating a pleasant heat upwards. The rough texture of the stone was grounding beneath her feet, a tactile connection to the earth that felt instantly calming. She inhaled deeply, the air filled with the mingled scents of lavender, rosemary, and thyme, a fragrant blend that was both invigorating and soothing. Reaching the herb garden, she picked up her watering can, the weight of the water feeling substantial in her hand. She began to water the herbs, the gentle sound of water pouring onto the dry earth, a soft, rhythmic sound. The earthy fragrance of the herbs intensified as the water soaked into the soil, releasing their aromatic oils into the air. Rosemary and thyme, their scents sharp and clean, mingled with the sweet floral notes of lavender. As she watered, she noticed a butterfly flitting among the lavender blooms, its wings a delicate dance of color. It was a monarch butterfly, its wings a vibrant orange and black, a splash of vivid beauty against the muted greens and purples of the garden. It moved from blossom to blossom, its delicate proboscis unfurling to sip nectar, a quiet ballet of nature unfolding before her eyes. Clara paused her watering, watching the butterfly, her mind quiet and still. The gentle buzzing of bees among the flowers, the warmth of the sun on her skin, the fragrant air all combined to create a moment of perfect tranquility. She felt a deep sense of peace in simply observing this small piece of nature, in witnessing the quiet beauty of a butterfly in her garden. Moving to the stone bench nestled beneath a small apple tree, she set down the watering can and sat, feeling the cool stone beneath her. The shade of the tree offered a welcome respite from the midday sun, creating a pocket of coolness and dappled light. She leaned back against the rough bark of the tree, closing her eyes for a moment, simply listening to the sounds of the garden. The gentle rustling of leaves in the light breeze, the distant hum of a lawnmower from a neighboring yard, the soft buzzing of bees. These subtle sounds wove together into a peaceful soundscape. She could feel the warmth of the sun filtering through the leaves, creating a dappled pattern of light and shadow on her eyelids. A sense of quiet contentment settled over her, a feeling of being completely at peace in this small, green sanctuary. Opening her eyes, she noticed a ladybug crawling on a lavender leaf, its bright red shell dotted with black spots. Another tiny detail of beauty, another small moment of wonder unfolding in her garden. She watched it for a while, tracing its slow progress along the leaf, appreciating the intricate patterns and delicate details of the natural world. The garden, she realized, was full of these small miracles, these quiet moments of beauty that were always there, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be appreciated. It was a place of gentle respite, a place to reconnect with the simple joys of nature, a place to find peace in the heart of the everyday. Chapter 4. The Evening Glow of Fired Clay. As evening approached, the studio began to shift into a different kind of light. The bright, direct sunlight of midday softened, becoming warmer and more golden, casting long shadows across the floor and walls. Clara, having spent the afternoon trimming and detailing the vases she had thrown in the morning, now turned her attention to the kiln. The anticipation of opening the kiln, of seeing the transformation of the raw clay into fired pottery, always held a quiet excitement. She carefully opened the kiln door, the warm air gently wafting outwards, carrying with it the subtle, earthy aroma of baked clay. The inside of the kiln glowed softly, a warm, inviting light revealing the rows of fired vases, now transformed from damp gray clay into hardened ceramic, their colors deepened and enriched by the heat. The air in the studio filled with a gentle scent of fired earth, a comforting and familiar fragrance. Wearing heat-resistant gloves, Clara carefully began to unload the kiln, lifting each piece with gentle reverence. The fired clay felt different now, lighter and harder, its surface smooth and slightly warm to the touch. She examined each vase closely, turning it in her hands, appreciating the subtle variations in color and texture that had emerged in the firing process. The glazes, once dull and powdery, now shimmered with a soft sheen, revealing their true depth and beauty. The evening light streamed through the studio window, casting long, dramatic shadows that danced and shifted as she moved. The studio felt cozy and intimate in the fading light, a peaceful sanctuary as the day drew to a close. She placed each fired vase carefully on the workbench, arranging them in a row, admiring the collection of finished pieces. Each one held the story of its creation, from the initial lump of clay to the final transformation in the kiln. As she worked, a soft golden light filled the studio, the last rays of the setting sun painting the walls in warm hues. The air cooled slightly, bringing a sense of evening calm. Clara moved to the window, looking out at her garden, now bathed in the soft, diffused light of twilight. The lavender bushes were silhouetted against the darkening sky, their fragrant blooms releasing their evening scent. She spent some time cleaning and organizing her workspace, putting away tools, wiping down surfaces, preparing the studio for the next day. The quiet rhythm of tidying up was a calming ritual, a way to bring closure to the day's work and prepare for rest. The studio, now clean and orderly, felt peaceful and inviting, ready to welcome her back in the morning. As darkness deepened outside, Clara switched on a soft lamp in the corner of the studio, casting a warm, gentle glow over the space. The soft light created a cozy and intimate atmosphere, perfect for quiet reflection. She sat down on her stool, gazing at the row of newly fired vases, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and contentment. The day's work was complete, the kiln cooled, the studio quiet and peaceful. The evening glow of the fired clay seemed to radiate warmth and tranquility, a gentle invitation to rest and reflect on the simple joys of creation. Chapter 5. Barefoot on Cool Stone, Evening Calm. The day was gently fading, the last vestiges of twilight lingering in the sky. Clara closed the studio door behind her, stepping into the quiet stillness of her home. The air inside was cool and calm, a welcome contrast to the warmth of the day. She moved through her living room, the soft glow of a single lamp casting a warm, inviting light. The house felt peaceful and settled, a haven of tranquility after a day of gentle activity. She walked barefoot on the cool stone floor of her living room. The smooth, cool surface, a grounding sensation beneath her tired feet. The coolness spread upwards, soothing and refreshing, a welcome release from the day's gentle work. She paused for a moment, simply feeling the coolness of the stone, allowing it to ground her in the present moment, in the quiet stillness of her home. Sinking into her favorite armchair, she picked up a book from the side table, its pages worn and familiar. The soft glow of the lamp created a cozy pool of light around her, casting the rest of the room into gentle shadows. The house was quiet, the only sounds the soft turning of pages and the distant chirping of crickets outside her window. It was a peaceful lullaby, a gentle soundtrack to the evening calm. She sipped a cup of herbal tea, the warm liquid soothing her throat and warming her from the inside out. The scent of lavender, faint and relaxing, drifted from the teacup, filling the air with a gentle fragrance. She read slowly, allowing the words to wash over her, letting the story unfold gently in her mind. The world outside seemed to fade away, replaced by the quiet intimacy of her home, the soft light, and the gentle rhythm of reading. As the evening deepened, a sense of peaceful drowsiness began to settle over her. Her eyelids felt heavy, her body relaxed and at ease. The gentle hum of the house, the soft glow of the lamp, the distant chirping of crickets all combined to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. She closed her book, placing it back on the side table, feeling a quiet sense of contentment. Rising from her chair, she moved towards her bedroom, the cool stone floor continuing to soothe her feet with each step. The bedroom was dark and quiet, the curtains drawn, shutting out the last vestiges of evening light. She slipped into bed, settling beneath the soft cotton sheets, feeling the gentle weight of the quilt cover her. The bed felt comfortable and inviting, a haven of rest and peace. Lying in the darkness, she listened to the quiet sounds of the night, the gentle chirping of crickets outside, the soft rustling of leaves in the night breeze, the distant hoot of an owl. These sounds of nature wove together into a peaceful lullaby. She breathed deeply, feeling her body relax further, her mind quieting, drifting towards sleep. The sensation of cool stone floors, the warmth of her quilt, the quiet sounds of the night all combined to create a feeling of deep peace and contentment. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to drift, feeling herself sinking deeper into the soft embrace of sleep, carried away by the gentle rhythm of the night and the quiet comfort of her home. The day was done, the evening calm settled, and peaceful sleep gently beckoned.